Good afternoon. Call to order today's meeting of the Clearwater Community Development Board. This meeting is called to order on September, what day are we today? 18th, or June 18th, excuse me. Welcome, everyone. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This board consists of 7 members and 1 alternate who are appointed by the City Council and serve voluntarily. I am Michael Butskas as chairman, and I will ask the other members and staff to introduce themselves, starting on my left.
Mary Lau.
Mike Flannery.
Brian Barker.
Jay Daniel, attorney for the board.
Gina Clayton, Planning and Development.
Michael Foligno, Assistant City Attorney.
Elizabeth Vanscoy.
Jordan Behar.
John Quattrocchi. Chris Anaskevich.
Thank you. Please remember to turn off your cell phones and beepers so they do not become distraction during the meeting. Please also refrain from having conversations in this room so that we might hear all the testimony given today. To ensure a complete record of this board's actions, we ask that each individual wishing to speak, including the applicant, speak into the microphone at the podium in front of us. Clearly state your name and spell your last name for the clerk. Now I'll ask all those in attendance today who plan to speak to please rise and be sworn in by the clerk.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give us the entire truth? I do. Thank you.
Thank you. Agendas of today's meeting are on the podium near the entry door. Also on this podium are a roster of the Community Development Board, the list of city staff experts and their resumes, the board's rules of procedure, and the annual schedule of this board. Our first order of business today is to review and approve the minutes from last month's meeting. May I have a motion for approval of the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded.
Motion. Thank you.
First and second. Here we go. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next item on our agenda is items that are not on our agenda, are items to be heard. So if you have a matter that you want to address to the board that is not on today's agenda, you have an opportunity from the public to speak now. Anybody wishing to speak? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next item on our agenda. This board has adopted a consent agenda format, and the consent items are identified as such on the agenda. Consent agenda items are those items for which the planning department recommends approval, the applicant is in agreement with any proposed conditions, and no written objections to the case have been received to date. Items may be removed from the consent agenda today by a member of the board, a member of the staff, or any person in the audience for questions or objections. I'll read each item on the consent agenda, and if any person wishes to remove this item from the consent agenda, please so state or raise your hand, and we will remove it from the consent agenda. Items removed from the consent agenda will be heard in the regular order of the meeting. Items that remain on the consent agenda will be approved with a single vote. The items on today's consent agenda are as follows. First item is FLD 2019-01004 at 1417 and 1423 South Fort Harrison Avenue and 510 McLennan Street. The owner is Fort Harrison Property Co. LLC. The agent is Mark Giannotti, and the request is for the board to review a proposed 7,980 square foot office in the commercial district. Does anybody wish to have this item removed from the consent agenda? Seeing none, it will remain on the consent agenda. The next item for the consent agenda is case LUP 2019-03001 at 510 Moss Avenue and 3025 and 3003 Merrill Avenue. The owner is Saxony Company, Advanta IRA Services LLC, and Robin J. Sloan. The agent is Richard Zucchina. The request is a review of request to amend the future land use map from residential low to residential urban and make a recommendation to City Council. Does anyone wish to have this matter removed from the consent agenda? Seeing none, those items will remain on the consent agenda. May I have a motion for approval of the consent agenda? We have one level 2 and one level 3, so they'd be separate motions. Do we have a motion for the level 2 matter, case FLD 2019-1004?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve that item on today's consent agenda based on evidence in the record, including the application and the staff report, and hereby adopt the findings of fact and conclusions of law stated in the staff report with conditions of approval as listed.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on that item? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Do I have a motion for the level 3 application?
Mr. Chairman, I move to recommend approval of case number FLUP 2019-03001 on today's consent agenda based on evidence in the record, including the application and the staff report, and hereby adopt the findings of fact and conclusions of law stated in the staff report with conditions of approval as listed.
Do I have a second on the motion? Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? There being none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next item on our agenda is a matter continued for the May 21st, 2019 meeting. It's a Level 2 application. All Level 2 cases, such as flexible development, are considered quasi-judicial hearings. In a quasi-judicial hearing, the Community Development Board reviews the application, the staff report, correspondence, and all evidence presented today, and makes a final decision subject to appeal. This board has previously qualified all the city staff who will testify as experts in the area of professional training, education, and expertise. The list of city staff experts and their resumes are on the handbook on the podium near the entry door. Any other professionals who desire to be qualified as an expert witness shall so request at the beginning of the case and present a resume to each board member. The board shall determine whether or not to qualify the person as an expert and in what field of study. At the beginning of each Level 2 case, I will ask for anyone who wishes to request party status to come forward and state your reasons. Party status may be granted if the person requesting such status demonstrates that he is a substantially affected person. The board will then determine whether or not to grant party status. Then the case will proceed as follows. Presentations by planning staff, 10 minutes. Presentations by applicant, 10 minutes. Presentations by persons with party status, 5 minutes per party. Cross-examination of witnesses by planning staff, cross-examination of witnesses by applicant, and then cross-examination of witnesses by persons with party status. Comments by the public, 3 minutes per person. Closing remarks by planning staff, closing remarks by persons granted party status, and closing remarks by applicant, each 3 minutes. And the closing of the public hearing, a discussion and vote by the board. Our first Level 2 case today is FLD 2019-01003 at 1006 El Dorado Avenue. The owner is Stephen Samaha and the agent is Mike Loomis. And the request is for the board to review a pool deck to be located seaward of the coastal construction line in the low-medium density residential district for the property at 1006 El Dorado Avenue. Does anybody wish to have party status in this matter? Seeing no requests, we'll begin with a presentation by planning staff.
And Mr. Chairman, before the presentation begins, the city would move to have Mr. Norberg approved as an expert witness in matters of zoning, annexation, land use, landscape ordinances, and the things upon which he's about to testify.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to accept Mr. Nuremberg as an expert. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Good afternoon,
Please
Kevin
continue.
Nuremberg, Planning Development Department. Just want to state that this case was a consent item last month, on last month's agenda. Because it was continued, it has to have a public hearing, but staff has received no objections to date. The waterfront property is located on the west side of El Dorado Avenue. The ownership spans 2 zoning districts, the low-medium density residential and the open space recreational. While the applicant's submittal indicates there is ownership to the Gulf of Mexico with riparian rights, the platted lot of record is approximately 0.15 acres and is consistent with the portion of property zoned low-medium density residential. The proposal includes the construction of a pool and deck seaward of the coastal construction line. No new improvements will be in the open space recreational district. Proposal is a Level 2 because any proposal to build seaward of the coastal construction line requires approval from the Community Development Board. The development also requests flexibility from the minimum side north setback for a reduction from 5 feet to 4 feet. The coastal construction line bifurcates this property north and south, running through the platted lot of record's rear yard. The location of this line only permits about 300 square feet of the 1,600 square feet of the rear yard area to be built on without going seaward of the coastal construction line. The majority of the pool and deck and approximately 560 square feet and of the 998 square foot pool and deck area will be seaward of the line. The pool and deck will extend about 11 feet beyond the line on the north side of the property and 34 feet on the south side of the property. The pool will be built at grade, while the pool deck is proposed to be approximately 18 inches above grade on the south side of the pool. However, to be consistent with development standards for pools on waterfront properties, the deck must be 12 inches or less in height from grade, and this has been attached as a condition of approval. In regards to waterfront site visibility triangles, the survey shows the seawall adjacent to the primary building The waterfront site visibility triangle needs to be shown from the seawall on that site plan at the time of permitting. No structure or landscaping may be installed other than an at-grade swimming pool, at-grade deck, or non-opaque fence not exceeding 48 inches in height shall be located in the waterfront site visibility triangle. In regards to mechanical equipment, typically equipment shall be exempt from side and rear yard setback requirements. However, code states no mechanical equipment shall be permitted within a reduced setback as part of a level 1 or level 2 application. Since this request includes a reduction to the north side setback, no mechanical equipment can be permitted in that. This has been made a condition of approval. I provided you with a memo revising and modifying condition of approval number 3. After reading the staff report, the applicant was concerned because he wants to place the pool equipment in the section of the north side setback where the 5-foot side yard setback is met. Staff recommends the board modify the condition to state any proposed new outdoor mechanical equipment associated with the pool shall not be located in the portion of the north side setback that was reduced from 5 feet to 4 feet through a level 2 approval. The site plan also shows a portion of the pool and deck in an easement along the rear property line. The applicant has discussed with the engineering department to vacate this easement. The engineering department has determined the easement may be vacated to permit development. This has been added to condition of approval as well. Staff finds accessory pools and decks are typical amenities to waterfront detached dwellings throughout the immediate area as a whole, especially properties located on this side of El Dorado. The manner in which the line bifurcates this property severely limits any type of new improvements within the property's rear yard. Staff recommends approval and that the condition of approval number 3 be modified to be as read. Any questions?
Anybody have any questions of staff? All right. Sure.
It looks like everything's covered on here, but what's the process in just ensuring DEP permitting is met? Does that come back through zoning, or at the time of building permit, DEP approvals are going to have to be in place as well as Army Corps approvals will have to be in place?
Yeah, I mean, they'll have to provide paper, but it's kind of like, I guess the state is asking for city approval prior to, and the city's asking for this, so we're kind of like asking for the same thing at the same time, so he'll have to go do that next, and then have that for the building permit.
But there's a checks and balance in place to make sure that the other key elements that are outside of zoning's purview are met.
Yeah, he's gonna have to show the paperwork was approved by the state.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right. Is there anyone here from the applicant to speak? Do you have any presentation to make, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. No presentation by the applicant. And I'm assuming no cross-examination either by either side. Does the staff have any closing comments? Or the applicant? Okay. There being none, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing on this matter and look for discussion or motion by the board.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve case number FLD 2019-01003 based on the evidence and testimony presented in the application, the staff report, and the public hearing, and hereby adopt the findings of fact and conclusions of law stated in the staff report with conditions of approval as listed.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? There being none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Nuremberg. Next item on our agenda is also a level 2 application. Same procedures will apply. It's case number FLD 2019-04008 at 1920 Gulf to Bay Boulevard. The owner is G&G Realty and the agent is David Millisor from Oliveri Architects. The request is a proposed redevelopment for a fast food restaurant in the commercial district. And is there anybody here today wishing to be granted party status? Seeing none, we'll begin with a presentation from the planning staff.
Mr. Chairman, the city would again move to have Mr. Norberg established as an expert witness for zoning, annexations, land use and rezoning applications, and landscape ordinance in the matters upon which is about to testify.
So moved.
Motion made.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Mr. Nuremberg, proceed.
Afternoon, Kevin from Planning and Development. Also saying this case was last month on the consent agenda, but it's continued and requires a public hearing, but there has been no objections to date regarding the application. This redevelopment was approved by the Community Development Board on January 16th, 2018. The applicant failed to submit for a building permit within the 1-year approval, so the development order expired. They have since submitted for a permit and is currently under review, but needs another development order to move forward with the planning approval. The permit has been approved by building, mechanical, plumbing, and fire to date. The project is an existing restaurant, improving the parking area with landscaping and exterior renovations to the building in the commercial district. The site work includes removal of the non-conforming back-out parking spaces along South Meteor Avenue. This area will be replaced by landscaping and be improved, and an improved sidewalk on both on-site and off-site. The site work also results in a reduced number of off-street parking spaces. The 2,212 square foot restaurant requires 27 off-street parking spaces and only 25 are provided. The request is being reviewed as a comp infill project due to the criteria that fast food restaurants are not eligible for flexibility from minimum number of required off-street parking spaces. The only setback not met is the front east setback. It'll be 7 feet, where the required setback is 25 feet to front building. This is an existing situation. That part of the building won't be changed. Parking demand study was submitted and found 25 parking spaces are adequate. It found, as expected, a large number of the customers will utilize the restaurant proposed drive-through, where there is a quick turnaround and customers, quick turnaround of the customers. The 25 spaces meet the minimum required by the Arby's franchise. Planning staff and traffic engineering have no issues with the number of parking spaces provided. The applicant will just need to show that 8 vehicles can utilize the drive-through lane without encroaching to the public right-of-way at time of permitting. Staff recommends approval subject to 17 conditions. The development is consistent with the general purpose of the code, maximum development potential, the flexibility criteria, general standards for level 2, comp landscaping, and it's consistent with the applicable city's comprehensive plan. For this case, I've also provided a modified condition of approval, condition number 12. That condition right now reads that prior to the issuance of any building permits except for demolition, clearing and grubbing, or the provision of fill, the site shall show a turning radius of 30 feet for the northernmost driveway on Meteor Avenue. There was much discussion between engineering and the applicant. The applicant did not believe that they could provide this turning radius. Engineering modified the condition to work with the applicant at time of permitting. So the modified that staff recommends reads that prior to the issuance of building permit, except for demolition, clearing, and grubbing, or the provision of fill, that the northernmost driveway along Meteor Avenue shall have an ingress and egress turning radius that is acceptable with the development and the city engineering, fire, and solid waste departments. Any questions?
Any questions for staff on this matter? There being none, is the applicant here? Do they have a presentation?
No, sir.
No questions? No comments? I take it no cross-examination either? And closing comments? None? All right, then we'll go ahead and close case FLD 2019-04008. Any discussion by the board, or do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion. Move to approve case number FLD 2019-04008 based on the evidence and testimony presented in the application, the staff report, and at today's hearing, and hereby adopt the findings of fact and conclusions of law stated in the staff report with conditions of approval as listed, noting that condition number 12 will be modified in accordance with what Mr. Nuremberger just testified.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Does the planning staff director have any comments for today's meeting?
Just a reminder that next week we're having the hearing for 1919 Edgewater, and we appreciate you willing to come in another day to accommodate their schedule.
Thank you very much. There being nothing else, today's meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for being here. There is your book.